really thought today was actually, maybe in an unscripted sense, a really nice recap of everything that's been worked up to this Friday. I loved that James brought King James and King James's demonology back into the picture for us to consider, especially as we're trying to modernize people's conception of demonology. I say we are trying to modernize. It's really James doing the thankless work. So thank you, James, for that. Last time I spoke about some issues I've had with the corporate will that we engage with and how we become misaligned. And when James was talking about King James coming in and taking that whole idea and restricting it from the witches per se, I feel like that is so true, and I feel like that is a branch, a phenomenological branch. I can't say the word that continues on to today, and how so often our corporate will or our will can misalign with corporate will, who offers a product and will lay claims on it, and then but when we superimpose that corporate will over our own will, our own body, how prone uh, we are to encounter misalignments. Um, I think, James, would you agree that the demon is the corporation in a sense, or maybe like the way Socrates might have discussed it, the daemon, or um, demonology, I would think of as corporate logistics.
Yeah.
And
You guys can hear me, right?
yes, I can.
Thank you. Yeah, there's the before they called it a pope, the pope came out and said, I own all you fuckers and I own all the souls and all the souls are mine and all the land is mine. You know this, right? The tenet of Axis Mundi. I'm just getting this wrong, but there's this story that and I'm not saying it's not true. I just want you to know the mythology um is that excuse me, I'm adjusting here. There's this mythology um that the Pope came out, the church came out and declared the world theirs. And you have to unbind yourself from that. And there's a whole interesting way of looking at that. I'm not even trying to go there. I want you to think about that. When someone started to think in terms uh, of identity and possession and ownership and things like that, if the church said all souls are ours and that they're lost souls but we claim them all, um, you're doing something that the peasant doesn't have the ability to even conceptualize. It's the same thing like with currency. It's the same thing with economy. It's the same thing with bridges and roads and stuff. Impossible things become possible through this collective possession. And if you want to centralize a power like King James does, you want to control that possession. But more importantly, I think the bigger motivator is that everyone else wants someone to control that possession too. That's really the driving force, is that everybody wants something to happen. I don't really care if it's like the evilest person. Just is that working? Great. Done, you know. So it shows us who we really are. And when we look at what we consider corporations, what they do to be evil, and it's fine, it's horrible. They're horrible things. They should be dissolved and destroyed. And we're the good guys, and we're the Rebel Alliance. We're fucking perfect, and the corporations are awful and bad. Fuck those motherfuckers. God, I feel so righteous right now. Thank you, corporations. But so if you instead of hating the corporations, you're actually watching them show power, and they're showing you how they have power. How they have power, they have something called a bylaw, and you're just like, "You have bylaws? So yeah, check it out." And you could download it. It's a PDF. It's got like a font. There's like pages and shit. It's like stapled, and you read it, and the first thing is, "We are the fucking blah blah blahs, and this is who we are, and this is what we do, and we." we do this and we own this and we have this and this is how we work. And if one of us disagrees, this is how we joust. And it requires five of us to exist. And this is a 501c3. If you want to start a 501c3, you have to find five people. You have to create a plasma circuit. You have to create a demon fucking five-pointed star at least and draw it in the chalk and step inside the chalk and say everyone has to have a title. It doesn't matter. The state literally says it doesn't fucking matter, like in the thing, but you have to have a title. Why? Because we have to have a declarative invocation for the fucking magic to work. So I'm the chief technical officer. I'm the chief executive officer. I'm the not so chief. You declare these crazy ass notions, the grand poobah. You come up with these labels and you cast a spell. And the peasant says that's evil because the peasant is looking at power that they can't even comprehend. They can't even fathom that. It's like, what do you mean you have a middle name? And I'm like, you guys don't have a middle name? I do. I've had a middle name the whole time. And it just have to spend all that time teaching people what things are just so they can start to think. So the fear is natural because the fear shows you the power, the fear is the intimidation. If you people don't like power, so they're probably reading me when I say power. It's like, well, look at that fucking power hungry. And it's like, yeah, I know that feeling is what I'm trying to talk about. I'm trying to talk about that feeling, that shameful feeling that you have for wanting to be powerful. Shameful feeling's good. It stops you from road raging. It stops you from literally drinking Gatorade out of the skull of that dude who took your parking space, right? So it's like this is good, you know. We need this kind of this is why fantasy is important. This is why melanin's important. There'd be no gambling without it. Everybody would be all in all the time, all in all the time. There's no nuance anymore, right? Because bluffing, there's no subtlety, there's no matrix in there. So all of this, in my opinion, is magic. But it's not that they want to control you as much as we have all this offshooting of power that's has to be in the room. And so we have to create a hallucination that all of us can relate to with each other. And ultimately, that's what we're seeing. And corporations, well, fuck, guys, they like you could not get more magic than a corporation. You could not get more magic than the entire idea of well, you have a sigil. What do you mean? It's a fucking apple with a chunk taken out of it, and that chunk is turned up to be the leaf at 51 degrees, and you're just like, you're Apple. You're the Apple Corporation. And everyone inside the sacred circle, that fucking magic built a circle in Silicon Valley. That circle's there right now. Giant ring. Everybody's walking around. Oh, look at me. I work at Apple. You know, they're all air tagged, probably up their rectum. They're probably got weird shit going on. They're just like, oh, I got the rectum tag. It's great. You know, and it's fucking awesome because that's a magic circle they live in. Good for them. Adobe's the same thing. Corporations are the same thing. People work at Starbucks. They're just like, I work at Starbucks. And they hate the same thing too. It's all, these are pagan cults, pagan magical cults. And the magical cult believes I will get commas, you know, a paycheck. I will get a paycheck. And I just have to be a good magician. I have to throw in. I have to wear a uniform or I have to say the uniform thing. I have to behave in a certain way because that's the ritual. Some shaman who's better than me, showing me how to do magic, has literally written a manual, a fucking spell book that says, here, when the customer walks in the door, you say, hey, welcome to Wendy's. Can I help you? And you're just like, what kind of magic is this? And it's like, no, you do it better. Hey, welcome to Wendy's. Can I help you? And it's just like, we're going to slaughter so many fucking cows with this magic word. We're going to fucking kill them all. Like this rising of Hathor, this other religion comes emitting from this idea of all these magic words, you know? Trust the Midas touch, you know? All the slogans that you've ever heard, you're surrounded by magic. The only thing saving people is the ability to apply mundanity. You know what I mean? Like the ability to smear grease over their own eyes so they can look at it, and they can literally go into a fountain. Like if you think about what an industrial park is, it's like this nothingness that's been turned into this weird like desktop, this living green desktop that has fountains in it and shit and parking, and there's like fake roads, and little pretend hatches, and you're on Facebook Way, and and you're you're on this corporation's like campus. It's literally called a campus. And you're watching the organism. You've entered inside the organism. It's any commune, right? Why are communes romantic and corporations aren't? And I'll tell you, most of the corporations are romantic, honestly. We're some of the few that don't even find them romantic. Most people are just enthralled because it's the perfect thing. They worship it without you knowing it, which is what it means to be a vice president of Exxon. Or, you know, you're going to be a seven. I want 7 digits out of you, Yesenia. You're 7 fucking digits. It's a cult, it's a religion, and why are you shaming that? Why are you shitting on that magic? The only reason why is because you feel that you've come so far beyond it, and that's because of the fucking magic. That magic put you there, right? So it's like, why are we crapping on that? Why are we even having debates over whether or not someone magical should have money? Why are we pretending that those things are separate? Do you see how the dichotomy is so fucking retarded that we have to have discussions that even to try and somehow suggest that currency and magic are somehow different, and that only if you deserve it. And clearly you're doing all the magic right, but you just don't deserve it. That's shitting on magic. That's taking all your plasma, all your neocortex, and saying none of that fucking matters because you don't have some secret check mark in the karmic halls of fame saying you deserve this shit. So now all your effort pays off. I'd rather be told you are not doing magic correctly. There's no bullshit other things. It's you. You are not doing magic correctly. That's all. And until you can look at yourself singing karaoke, until you can really look at that, and I can't look at it, but until you can really see yourself sing karaoke, you're just like, I don't know why my magic doesn't work. And it's like, because you got to fucking disassociate long enough to look at yourself. Do you know what happens is I know there's hands up, but your assemblage point leaves, becomes in an orbit where you're watching yourself do karaoke, but that orbit becomes an epidermis. All that becomes dead skin, which means the second you disassociate, you've claimed new continents as your own. You've said that this orbit of me is me. And it works because you're pretending, because you're lying to yourself. Because you said, fuck you, King James. I want to do this. Fuck the state. Wouldn't all magic have to fuck the state? You'd have to. Like, you literally would have to be built on that idea that anything but this guy. There'd be no other way for you to gain your own power than by removing it from where you've already given it before. So it has to feel that way. You get it. There's other hands. Good to see you guys.
Yes. It's when you hear the way you speak of these things, it's easy to vilify the modern corporation, and it's easy to romanticize the witch with the way she would help someone. I Originally, when I was taking notes about when I was listening to your live stream, I was thinking about how the witch's methodology would make the customer less prone to fall into a misalignment with their interests and the overall outcome. But when I say that we're prone to misalignment, it's not because I think the corporation's will is evil. I think it's just because of the complexity. Um, you were talking about neurological constellations, and when I look at the constellations in the sky, for some reason I envision Yggdrasil, or Yggdrasil, how do we say the name? The life tree, and every star is like the tip of its branch out there, and we are each a decision tree also, and the corporation is another decision tree. And so when I say we're prone to misalignments, it's because like it'd be like taking two oak trees from the same species that grew, 20 miles from one another, and trying to superimpose them over one another perfectly. When I talk about misalignment, that's kind of what I'm getting at. So yeah, I hope I'm not trying to contribute to this idea of burning it all down. Um, uh, I'll leave the rest on the table, and I want to jump to Yesenia because I'm very happy to see you, Yesenia. Go ahead.
It's nice to see y'all too. I'm I saw my last share and I just have I'm gonna breathe and I'm gonna say this because I speaking about nerves, I feel like when you have your hand up, you're like waiting in line for that roller coaster that's only like 30 seconds. So it's like why not just enjoy the whole part like and just breathe through it all. But in terms of corporations, I work in the cannabis industry in Colorado and I work for one of the largest corporations I want to say in the cannabis industry in Colorado, or that's what they say. You know, every corporation is a cult, and they always are gonna boast themselves, in my opinion. Um, but anyway, I see the whole aspect of since in the cannabis industry in Colorado right now it's overly saturated in product and in employees, so there's a controlled demolition happening and everyone's acting like everything's on fire and it's chaos, and that's kind of why I wrote that on Facebook the other day, like controlled demolitions seem like chaos for the magic to work. Like they need the fear. Like that's part of the loosh. Like I see it because like my bartenders are always like, "Oh, we're going out of business," and I'm like, I doubt it. They're probably gonna slash some stores because the store that I currently work at is like even the regional manager that comes here like, "You guys pay the lights for all the other stores." So I'm like, yeah, there's probably gonna be a slash, but it's probably not gonna be us. And I feel like this kind of certainty that we're good, but at the same time, I could see how bartenders used to be like, I used to take home like $500, $600 in tips, and now I only take 250. And I'm like, I get it, but you still are, you're still like living. So I'm just trying to compassionate with them and also understand that it's happening everywhere. The same thing, like a year ago, I worked at Walmart, and the break room has Sam Walton on the wall with all its slogans. It's definitely a cult, and you're eating in this like blue fluorescent light room and you're there for 12 hours and you feel the energy and you're wearing all this Bob the Builder gear. I'm wearing a printer, a walkie talkie, the vest, the keys, you're jingling around the halls, you're definitely wearing this character. So it's just interesting how, I'm always shedding the skin everywhere I go. Thank you for letting me share.
If you think about the shaman magic, the shaking of the stick is the rattle is the a sound of power, right? You master the rattlesnake, and so you shake the rattle, and people invoke and feel that. And keys, such a beautiful image to look at it that way, Yesenia, because the keys are just that rattle of I have access to things. I have access to things, and that's brilliant. I've always had a really weird pet peeve about I've always measured my success by how few keys I have. And I think it's part of that. I don't like making noise anywhere. Um, I think that's another kind of shamanistic sound too, is the ability to not make noise, I guess. Which is a form of hiding, that's you're not going to have the same corporate focus in that way. Meanwhile, if you can reward someone with keys, you really are just calling the cult in and saying, "We give the rattle of the keys to Yesenia." It's hilarious when you look at it that way, especially if you get. Seems like at Walmart there's blue vests, and then at least at Lowe's there's blue vests, and then there's red vests, and then there's like brown vests, which are like vendors, and there's so even those have cults, which is just yeah, really really cool stuff. It really depends on how much you want to be dilated by it. It really does depend on calling everything a muggle makes you feel more magical. But if you want to really step into your wizardry, you would want to see magic all around you, which means you would need to grant everyone access to magic. I do this all the time with the consciousness. There's no such thing as NPCs. There's no such thing as that. Those are flowers of potential that are getting ready to open. I'm one of those. I'm one of those right now. And it's a better way of looking at it, especially when you consider the magic part of it. So, great share.
Absolutely. Um, these bigger corporations, in my own life, I went the 1099 route for a long time before I was recruited by a larger corporation that put me back on the W-2 track, which I in 2020 stepped away from. And we're still trying to figure it out in a way, and we're still trying to work with, as Eugenia mentioned earlier, or in an article on Substack recently about uh, working with and coexisting with family tradition, and there's a corporate tradition that my family and Ashley's family has so much. All of their confidence is put in that. Their whole lives were in babying these. They babied their 401ks the most, and we instill a lot of fear in them as far as uncertainty in our own future because we are trying to find these new ways. But I feel like that this I'm struggling to see how this has a point in what you guys are discussing. Except for we're on the shoulders of giants. These corporations.
You know, there's when I was 15, I just feel certain you guys maybe can relate to this. Because when I was 15, the kind of car that I pictured myself driving was really important. And at first I just was really just all about it. It wasn't actually the brand, it was more just like the shape and the stuff like that. But the point is that there were certain, like a Volkswagen Scirocco was just like, fuck yeah, man, that's what I belong in. I belong in a fucking Scirocco. Round back, round ass Scirocco, forest green, you know. And I, in my mind, that was it. It was a beat up one of those. That's what it was. I ended up in a 82 Cavaliers station wagon, blue. Uh, real, real possessed piece of shit car. Well, it got me where I was one. It had a lot of dangerous things about it, but the point is that it wasn't my icon. I didn't get to fit. Meanwhile, Dean Hogue had a two-door Honda LX. It was black, and then he wrecked it. And then like 2 weeks later, he had a Honda LX two-door white. And I was just like, I really felt attacked by the world. I felt attacked because I didn't have access to even a car that could stop. My car was, if you came to red light, you had to, it's an automatic, but if you could turn it from drive into neutral, even though it's an automatic, and keep pushing the gas pedal down for the light to change, and then and then kind of shift it into drive again, even though it's an automatic, you won't stall. And if it stalls, you have to wait like 30 minutes for the computer to think that it's cooler than it is. And it's this really dangerous kind of fucked up thing. And it was always a big hindrance to me growing up. But blah blah blah. Poor me, poor me. The point is that watching everyone else, what seemed like everyone else, have shelter underneath the logos, underneath the corporations, underneath these structures was really colossally hard for me. And I think that felt hard for me because that's exactly where I was growing the most. That as a youth, I was developing my ability to not have those things by force. I didn't have the shelter of the Honda two door LX. I didn't have that shelter. I didn't, none of that was there. I thought I was going to be allowed to go to private school. Then, for some reason, when it was time to take the test, I was told I couldn't take it. That was another. It was like I thought I was going under, and forgive the poor me, but it's just, I really want to say this is all about the magic. I thought that if I went to Baylor or Macaulay, I would have that shelter of that magic sigil. I would wear either the blue jacket, literally the dark blue jacket, or the umber red jacket, and that one's a B and
A
one's a,
bit. I'm in the middle of the meeting. What's up?
you know, these things are magic circles, and I'm denied access to. Same thing for the popular crowd, the popular table, right? The major that you can't maybe necessarily make, or the letter. What is a letterman? What is making the varsity fucking team, right? All of this are the failures. The idea that you would not be accepted by that is really the only blessings that this world brings. You know what I mean? That's really the only blessings that we have. Are all those what I was devastated at the time. I was really hurt by all these rejections. Not having a car meant I couldn't even go places where other people went. I was always the dude that had to be begging, that had to need something, that had to like, and I was catching myself being social simply to try and just find a ride places, stuff like that. It was just a real fucked up neediness that I noticed, that I was outside the circle and I didn't have the magic. And that's really probably what shaped my entire creative matrix, came from that. It came from that suffering and that lack, from that just sick fucking suffering of it all. And when I stole my mom's car, that all that did is cement it more. It meant that not only was I not going to have that, but I would never have that. That I've been penalized for being fucking Prometheus, for reaching for something that I did not deserve, that I had no access to. It was such a pinnacle part of my life. And I say Miami Vice all the time because that's all Miami Vice is look at the magic of the Testarossa, look at the magic of the Ferrari, look at the magic of the cocaine suitcase, look at the magic of the V-neck silk shirt, like all the, look at fucking Philip Michael Tubbs. Look at that guy. He's just, look at him pretend to be Jamaican. How does he pull that off? Like all of that is just saturating you because you feel like you're not a part of that. This is probably the only way that we would build the self. This is probably the only way that your self would feel this way, is this constant suffering. This constant suffering of I'm not good enough, or I don't have to have this magic, or I don't have that magic, or all of the cellulite, all the bald spots, all the inconsistencies. This is really where you're growing your magic. This sense of you have to grow it on your own, and that's really the battery. That's the source of it all. It's a great topic.
Absolutely. Sorry, you guys. I thought I was muted. Sorry for you guys listening to me speak to Ashley in that brusque tone. Um, you mentioned about how lies escalate to great work, yeah, I want to thank the corporations for. I mean, the first time I even knew the word logo might have been from Nike, and they gave us all of these these symbols that had all of this intentions, meaning, these attached to them for us to reach and take as our own, whether it was taking, for me, taking nice clothes out of my wealthy friend's closet to borrow, so I, as like, it really did give me something to extend myself out and to take something that one wasn't given. These corporations gave me that first before anybody probably. And thank you for that. Brad, thank you for your patience. It's good to see you. What you got going on over there, Ben? It's good to see you.
Oh, it's great to see everybody too. I've been missing. I know you was busy with the book, James. That this coincided with a lot of stuff I had going on too. So I heard you talking about daring at one point there, to daring to build a house, and not whether or not you should have or not. I love the fact that you dared to build a house, and I'm glad to see it came to completion too. As far as corporations and well, I'll tell you what, I've got my wings as far as hating on corporations and all these kind of things. So I'll just say, I have to be honest now. I decided that not to attempt to engage in corporate or sort of anything that would monetarily, let me just put it like this, to maximize my talents. I certainly am well aware I could have made more money over my life if I wanted to, if I'd applied that way. I chose to engage in the trick of telling myself, and there's reasons why we're raised in this society. I said, well, let me be humble, not need money, and these kind of way. And we're all very familiar with these thought forms. But I use that to justify placing evil into money, into corporations, and all these things, and which is really just scapegoating. It's the same thing. And the thing is, it's over time, and this has become from a sense of determining that the world out there is not evil and I'm not good. But I think this is a very natural headspace for us to come into, of facing things in the world. Our magic doesn't work the way we want it to. We're met with resistance. And so the first thing to do is say, I'm blameless, but this world is shit, And over time, if you do start to realize that, okay, maybe I'm not that great, and you stop scapegoating and things like this, and you realize that, for example, in corporations, we like to pick on them and talk about the individuals, but the corporation in and of itself, just like everything in Gaia, is there serving it like it exists. And it's whether people tune into it or not, it's not the individuals making the corporation, right? The corporation is the entity in and of itself serving the function that we've all asked it to serve in these subtle ways. Because like you was mentioning in the live stream, the idea that we ask for these things, and I do believe that we do. And like going back to being honest about the fact that for me to demonize people with money was just a way for me to make peace with or to justify the fact that I didn't have much. But in truth, I wasn't trying to. Do you know what I'm saying? So it was a lack of me applying my magic. And because I was either afraid, lazy, or whatever to apply my magic, it just became the easiest things to say, well, all those people who are doing their magic, well, that's just because they're evil or whatever. But I think, and I saw a lot of this in the live stream today too, people talking about good and evil. I think after a certain point, when you stop seeing things in the binary in terms of good, evil, especially in terms of when you come into this world and you look at it like whether it's a prison planet or this, or whether it's something that needs to be fixed or saved, that always postures you adversarially with the world around you. And particularly the aspects that you don't agree with. But I think that those things are there because the tension, I think the tension is the facilitator of almost all growth. I really do think that consciousness would sit there just lazy and listless without some prodding, if you will. And kind of when you get to that point, realizing that's what's going on, you can stop hating the corporations. And again, like we said, I'm not glorifying what happens in the brutality that does happen in the world. But from a certain vantage point, that you start realizing that good and evil are just like anything. It's not black and white. It depends on your perspective. It depends on the assemblage point that you're viewing it from. And so once you can kind of let go of that, I think it's a little bit easier. And I'll just speak for me. I think it's a little bit easier to, for example, were I to go get a corporate job, I think I could make my peace with that. Does that make sense? Whereas years ago, I'd be like, I'm trying to find that place in the woods, get away from the state and all this kind of thing, because I didn't want to accept that, that I was part of the whole. I like how James, you're talking about the fact that if you think you can get off grid and go build your own homestead and all these kind of things, that kind of is a fantasy that again pretends that I am not part of the whole, if you will, or I'm trying to exercise things that I don't want to accept in this reality. And so I don't know. I'll just kind of stop right there. But that's kind of where I've gotten to as far as like making my peace with quote unquote evil in the world and whatever is going on. That it's not just saying in a way, it's like I no longer fear it, and I no longer really am that judgmental of it. I mean, I have my biases and what I wouldn't want to do, but the biggest thing is I'm not and I do think we all have to go. I've said this before. We have to go through the phases, but I've been afraid of it all. I feared the AI, the smart AI, and just frankly, I don't anymore. Partly because I've made peace with things in this kind of way, but partly just because, like I said, I've kind of let go of ideas that weren't serving me.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. Good to see everybody, guys.
Great to see you too, Brad. I want to add on top of that you could lean into the fear. If we redefine fear as a dowsing rod into where power is, then we fear corporations because we're fucking good dowsers. We're good at dowsing. That's why we fear corporations, because we're good at dowsing. So let's lean into that fear and let's start to use the fear as an active sonar where we get, if you want to have more power, if you want to shed less power, this is the best way to say it. If you want to shed less power, Follow your compass to the source of something that is shedding less power than you. And this is what fear is. This is this is all it is. The magnetics of fear are exactly that and nothing more. If thy want, first of all, you have to want to shed less power because you even have fear to begin with. Please consider that. That at the heart of your self-worth, at the heart of your idea of wanting to survive, literally is I want to shed less power. It really is the same. Survival would want that the same way. So it takes a lot to remove that deep desire from your core because every cell wants that. But secondly, that fear is primal, and we don't want to freaking stop. Let's stop pretending that we don't want it or reject it or that it was bad or that we didn't understand. No, we exactly understood. We exactly, now we can stare it in the face. Now we can look at it in the eyes. We can look the jaguar right in the eyes. And it took logos to do that. Invented something I didn't even know existed. You draw the shape. I can make people think a certain thing. What? Yeah. Fucking would look. Oh, and you're just like, how'd you do that? It's like, oh, and you're just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? It's like someone introducing music to you for the very first time, and you're like, what are you doing to me? What is the thing you're doing to me? Why can't I stop? It's exactly that. It's exactly that. They're always being taught to us by superiors. You're always learning this magic, fucking deep, rich shit from superiors. The superiors are things you're afraid of. They're things you're afraid of. So keep the fear. Be proud of the fear, right? Look into it. Learn to understand exactly where it's coming from, exactly why you fear that. That's really it. Because most of the time we don't know exactly why we fear something. We don't really fully understand. And it gets hard because if once you gain power, you will not be afraid of that anymore and it won't interest you. You'll be bored by it. You'll just be like, oh yeah, Luciferian. Okay. It doesn't really do it for you anymore. You need something else to be afraid of, you know? Where's the ninjas? Where's the Hottentots? Where's the Luciferians? You know, where's the devil? Where's the corporation? Where's the law? Where's the state? Where's the vaccine? Where's the virus? All these things are showing you where power is. That's all we saw. COVID showed you where power is. Why are we like they don't have power over us? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You fucking found me because they have power over us. Because they were showing you, look how powerful it is when I say safe and effective. You're just like, oh my God, that's powerful. Well, what do? We have to assemble. We will assemble underground. We will remain strong. That is power, man. That's power.
Well, I add real quick to that. One thing I thought that it was interesting you said today about the fact that I think one thing I have always been afraid of is my own brutality, if you will, being expressing that anyway. So I like feeling a very heavy weight about not wanting to, like, for example, I feel absolutely horrible if I inadvertently hurt somebody physically or emotionally this kind of way. But the thing is, sometimes I don't think, like, sometimes I think it's necessary. And some things I've learned in my life, as far as my choices I've made, I think it's because I wasn't brutal in my own defense, if that makes sense, because I wasn't willing to be. And that's a lesson that I feel like I've had to learn. So it's interesting when you mentioned today, the state is a way to kind of, we put that brutality out there so
Yeah,
we can pretend that it's not in us. But
I personally think that brutality is why most of us don't want power, including me, and why most of us, when we try and claim power, we are mostly hurt by these feelings of Brutus, of brutality, and that keeps us away the most. And it's wholesome, it's kind of beautiful, and it's also really a deep core part of our cowardice. And you see
yeah,
that cowardice everywhere because we have that natural thing. When I've exercised brutality in this group, I think the reason why it's been held so strongly against me is because I wasn't holding the brutality correctly. Not that I wasn't being brutal, that I wasn't exercising brutality cleanly, Brad, that I didn't have a sharp sword. It wasn't that I cut someone's head off, it's that I couldn't do it cleanly, that I had
yeah,
to linger on it and wait. And I showed everyone how weak it was, which made them believe less in power, not more. And they hated me for that. And I'm glad. Like, how else am I going to fucking learn how to swing this double ass broadsword than to fucking chop someone's head off on Sunday morning when everyone's out in the square watching. Like this is the only way to learn, right? And it fucking sucks. No wonder no one wants power, right?
Sometimes we don't know when we're using the wooden sword.
You're muted, Cameron.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad, for what you and bye, and good to see you, Deb. Go ahead.
Hey, I just had a couple of things that I noticed. Please hear me say this very humbly, but I've had, I don't even like to say his name, the Joker in the White House. I've had his number since he first came into office, and I try to talk to people about what he's doing, that he's doing something not natural, that has all these people believing all this bullshit. And so anyway, I couldn't convince anybody. So I think the way you just described all that as demons, that's like the perfect way to describe it. There's somebody who's stealing your power. You're turning it over to him. You're voting against your own interests. And congratulations. Not to be a bitch about it, but I'm still angry about not being able to get, I don't know, to expose the magic that was going on there. And I also want to know, do you guys think that that was on purpose? Does he know what he's doing? Is that, I mean, I know he is the trickster. Is he purposefully doing something occult? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
anyway.
The same questions have been asked about like a Led Zeppelin set, and everybody's on acid going, what did he just fucking do, man? Is that God fucking playing? The mythology is, who the fuck is saying that? Where is this sound coming from? And you're watching Divinity, and I think, I honestly, I know this has to suck because you're hearing Ketchup here, I'm saying is divine. I'm saying his calligraphy is divine. That's all. And I think why you get angry at him, not to put you in me, like, here's my thoughts projected into you, but I get really mad at Musk. I went through it really made me angry because people weren't saying that this is not a genius. It was like that. It's just like, what? That is not even fucking genius what he just fucking said. Do you not even understand how much copper is required to wire that many fucking solar systems? And he's telling you that the entire state can. Why are we so fucking retarded? It's that. That anger is the I want to say it's him. I want to fucking drink from his skull. I want to do that. I want to feel. See, I'm showing you this because I remember this. I want to feel this. I want to feel this way. And the whole time I'm like, James, you're not understanding what power is, and you're being mad at people for being disillusioned. They're not disillusioned. You were disillusioned. You're watching the plasma. You're watching the magician. What is the neuron firing that's occurring when he's saying these things? We're going to Mars, James. Who the fuck do you say we're going to Mars to? What stories are you painting to people where we get to fucking astrally travel and all you have to do is give me some money? You're not doing that, James. So why are you fucking complaining when someone else is? Why are you really mad? And this is what I learned about myself. I'm mad because I'm not willing to lie that much. I'm not willing to take the dope and stick it in my ass and make my balls shrink, Deb. That's the only reason. I don't want it enough. I'm not willing to embrace the comedian and completely ridicule myself, even though I wish I would, because if I could just turn into the jester and just say whatever the fuck and sarcastically turn into a fucking hyena and just say whatever's popular and lick every single ear no matter what and just tell them, well, what the fuck do you want to hear? I'm mad because I can't do that. I'm mad because if I could do that, I could change the world because I'd have more worship. The focus could be parabolized into this whole fucking thing, and we'd have these campfires, and this whole fucking thing would like reassociate in the Iroquois Confederacy, and we reunite with all the fucking Cherokee tribes and turn all these trees upside down. And we can't because I don't have the fucking magic. And it's just like you're watching me, all this potential going here. I have magic. I can fucking burn magic. I can fucking move magic, and I cannot do that. I cannot fucking tell you guys, we have to save human civilization. I need to put my semen in all of you, and I need us to go to fucking Mars. I'm not willing to fucking say that. I'm not willing to tell you how the real Black Eye Club works. I can't fucking do it. I can't sit there and cast the spell that's magical enough to make you believe. This is the thing about my singing. It's not a thing about how honest I am. This is why you're mad, Deb. I'm mad at myself because I was thinking it was because of how honest I am, because of how natural and wholesome and solid I am. I'm not willing to compromise I compromise my values all the fucking time. I do that all the time to manipulate my environment. So it's not that. I'm mad because I'm lying to myself and I'm not willing to really look at the truth of the reality, which is that I do not want it as bad as Mickey Rourke. I'm not going to fucking stick that shit in my face. I'm not going to go to the casting couch. I'm not going to change my fucking name. I'm not going to change what I say. I'm going to write a book about hermaphrodites in Africa, then get mad because no one's talking about it. Because it's like not mainstream. It's not about Elvis, or it's not about how to make wishes and make dreams come true. It's none of those things. It's this weird fucking obscure shit that is just happens to be fucking gold here. That's all. And but it's not popular. I'm not willing to dope myself that way. It's why the ratings I have are there. It's a struggle with magic. It's a struggle with why am I this way? That's all. It's a shamanic struggle with why am I this way? Why am I this way? This is what I wake up to every day. And I think it's other people because I really wish it was other people. I really wish it was just fucking other. I wish people were just stupid and they just don't understand talent. That's what I wish. I wish that's what it was. People were just stupid. They just don't understand it, talent. And it's not that. It's not that. I'm not telling you about the Anunnaki. I'm not telling you through some prison musk story about how we're in a prison planet. Everyone's going to get butt raped unless you do this. I'm not telling you that stuff because I cannot pull the magic off. It's not because I'm honest. It's because I cannot pull that kind of magic off. I cannot sing like these people sing, right? I don't have that kind of voice. And you could be mad at yourself and hate your shape, hate the architecture of what you are. This is what I do. And you can just keep being mad at yourself and keep feeling I'm denied from the sacred logos. I'm not allowed to have the right logos. Like I caught wearing a Levi's shirt to like the head of marketing of Nike once. And I'm just like, oh my God, James, what is wrong with you? It's just like, I understand that I don't belong. I've been in the realm of Stanford and all these other places and then been kicked out because I'm too fucking weird. This is my shamanic journey. It's fucking sucks, man. It really fucking sucks. Like it fucking sucks. And I'm here because I didn't want to be found in the comfort of the organism of the corporation because it asphyxiates me. That's all. I have to go out on my own and dig a hole in the ground and create Babylon here. And the only thing that saves me from being a hypocrite is that I'm telling you I like Babylon. I think it's cool as fuck. Me starting out as my company, me building something, me trying to build whatever it is I'm trying to build, even though it's not like super successful. It's just me experimenting with that kind of magic and not really wanting to be too tied down into things. It's probably a blessing I don't have land. I'd probably be here going, fuck, what are we going to do about this land? And that would possess me, right? So you have to trust your failures as sort of these invisible reins. We have so many hands up. I'm sorry, but it's just kind of want to roll. But if you trust all that kind of stuff, you're learning, you're seeing all this magic and the angst is your calligraphy. That's how you sign your pen, And so it's really hard to stop judging that. It's impossible. I haven't found a way. I'm still judging the fuck out of him. Just like, if you'd be more successful, your article would be shared more if you do this. I haunt myself all the time that way. That's all I got.
Wonderful, James, and Deb too. Thank you also. That's yes, getting the most out of these situations is really the goal. And so yeah, I loved it. We're not telling Deb to lose this anger or this hatred. I love it. And thank you, Deb. Annie, wonderful to see you. How are you doing today?
Good to see you too, all of you. I had to write things down as you talked. The red vest, blue vest, being like, I used to walk into places for a time in my life. I don't know what it was, but I had a certain aura or whatever it was. Maybe it was the shoulder pads. But I'd walk in, if I was wearing the color of the people that worked there, they'd say, "Oh, do you work here? Oh, do you work here?" And it just kept happening over and over. And I would just, I don't know, maybe I had like an extra little confidence or something, and just, I was probably an idiot. But anyway, it was like 20 years ago or something. I don't know, maybe 30 decades are going by. And anyway, going back to the old days when people had keys, actual physical keys. When I was a kid, I got into this kick for a while, and I was really into having keys on a ring, but each key was magic. And I wrote it down, drew a picture, an illustration, or a diagram of what each key was, as I collected these keys. And some of them weren't really keys, they were just something I made that looked, as long as it could fit on the ring, that was the key, but it was a key because it was on the ring. So everything was magic. Like, this one makes you disappear, this one makes you can fly with this one, and it just had all these magical cool abilities. And just having that made me feel so like just great. And it was just such a fun thing to play with or pretend. And a whole fantasy world of just like going on an adventure with the key ring and seeing what you could find. And just, I don't even know where I went, but I was just wandering the streets somewhere. And later on, I'd have a job where I had a big ring of keys, because I was like a janitor or a park caretaker and things like that. And I had the keys to the building, and I had all the keys. And it was just odd but those weren't, like, one of them turned the water on, which was pretty magical. One of them opened the box that controlled the sprinkler thing, so that was pretty cool. This one opened a break room where everybody went and, snuck a whatever, in there. Because back in these old days when we had actual keys, a lot of people were doing all kinds of things on the job, and there weren't cameras everywhere. So we were getting away with it. And it was just, it's such a different world now as far as that goes. Oh, and the Scirocco, that was the first car I ever had. And I remember it was $5,000 or $8,000 new. That's how long ago. That's what I mean by old. But anyway, I drove it until it was no more, and then just had it wrecked. I think I got paid $1,000 for having them take it, and crush it. And that was California. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got on my list.
I love the keys. Also, Annie, I feel more naturally adept in custodial duties for myself, even around this house. I can't handle the curative process. I can't handle deciding what stays and what goes. I just love having access to being given access and then making what's there grow. Where I didn't say, you're not here, you're not. That word also just such an important word. I love hearing that that's a part of your background.
Caretaker, lifeguard, those were all, mostly I liked working around plants and keeping physically active all the time. But I forgot to mention that I don't have any keys now. And yeah, like James, I don't want the keys now. You can have the key. You can have all the keys now. It's different now.
True. I have you next on the list. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, everybody. James, I really appreciate it sparked something when you were talking about being left out. I wanted to offer a different perspective on corporate life. I grew up in corporate life. My dad, he was the only son of a town drunk from a really small town in Kansas. And somehow, through the grace of God, I guess he would say, he ended up a chief operating officer of a Fortune 100 company. And the steps along the way, it gave him a sense of pride. And at the same time, he never felt good enough. He told me one time after he had retired that every decision he had made was made out of fear. And I thought that was stunning because he nailed it. He was well respected by his peers, by his employees. And people would come up to me when I was a kid and say, gosh, you're so lucky to have him as a father. I love working for him. And I go, who the fuck are you? You know, because I saw the other side of it. I saw the other side of it. And yet I didn't reject it. When I graduated from college, the month I graduated from college, my son was born. And it was pretty heavy. I woke up, I was 26 years old, and I said, God damn, I better wake up here, and I've got somebody else on the line here. So it's like I like to say I had brain damage until I was 26. So I went to work for the same company he started out with. And I blew the first interview. Somehow he got me a second interview. And I almost blew that. But I always felt like I was Flounder in Animal House. Oh, he's a legacy. We got to take him. And I struggled the first year. I struggled really, really. I almost had a nervous breakdown the first year. And then something happened. I got called in on the carpet for something. And they about damn near fired me. And I went, and this is right when I started going through my Saturn return, because I reflected on this years later, the timing of it. And the Saturn return, as I understand it, is accepting life on life's terms. I mean, here's the cards here's the hand you've been dealt. Are you going to play it? Are you going to go all in, or are you going to fold? And I decided to go all in. I decided I had fought their system, the corporate system, from within and it was not working. I ain't going to win. You know, so I started playing the game their way, and I started playing the game their way, and I started playing the game their way, and I ended up being pretty good at it. And it wasn't until I started playing the game and mastered that part of my fear and my rage at my dad, which was really fueling my inability to do my job effectively. It really was. And I didn't find this out until a long time later. That I was able to leave. I knew I couldn't leave until I mastered it. And I walked away, and I actually, the whole experience was a blessing. I took it with me into the next part of my life. So I guess that's all I had to say about that. I mean, it's a long story, but for today, that's about it.
Cool.
I'm complete.
Yeah. Thank you, True. Mary Jo, how are you today? Go ahead. I see your hands raised.
I was just going to talk about corporate logos and how to transmute that, maybe, if you wanted to. Like if you do something like origami, or if you do knots, if you practice at folding knots or doing origami, then that becomes meditative. So you automatically start to see, if I see this side of the paper, the white piece of paper, which is one part of it, is on the other side, and all this folding, you start to see that everything, like, it's all one thing. So like if you're thinking about how important tying knots are, like in the Stone Age, when knots were they were tying knots, stones to sticks or something like that. And then you get into metallurgy, of how the metal, the knowledge of how to melt a metal in another, like die cast. Um, I sort of think of like now I just sort of transmute these things into like the Nike logo. It's just like this flat thing. And if I want to make it personal or if I want to make it powerful to me, I sort of think of it as what is it in 3D and how does it unfold like a metal melting into something else. And I don't know, I just kind of think that helps your mind transmute power. If you think something has power over you, just say no, it doesn't. It's just something flat. And then if you make it 3D by just making it what you want it to be, then it becomes your power. It becomes your own symbol. That's all I was going to say.
This is at the heart of like all brands. If you think about the architecture of it, it's a collector of power. Peacock is a collection of space. That's what makes the feather look that way. It's just a architecture. It's a shape. And the Nike is a shape. The shape is a collector of space in your brain. It has a space and it's empty. The first time you see a logo, it's empty. But if you're looking at Willie Mays or someone really fast, someone really amazing, and you are beholding how amazing they are, and inside of that shape is the swoop, then that swoop now collects that limbic feeling that you had when you saw the logo. I realize it sounds very elementary, but it's like this is just how a collector works. You have a cup out in the morning and you collect the dew from it. When you wear a Patagonia shirt and you are doing a YouTube video versus if you're wearing a polo shirt or all the other different logos or the lack of one or whatever, these are different shamanistic uh, reflectors. You've collected trinkets. You've collected bottle caps and you built a vest out of them. Why? Because they're shiny. And when people see the shiny glimmering of it, it lights them up. This is the part of Malamu, except for this lighting up is more sophisticated now. It just went internal. It just went inside. And just as the collector of the old Ada seal has these long, sort of like rectangular pieces, those are shaped and polished in a way to collect light, just as the trident is a very specific collector of shape, just as the leaf has a certain connotation to it, right? Just as all symbols themselves. So this is why I think it is all architecture. And the logo itself is just it's architecture. It's the collection of a shape in a silhouette, the shadowy silhouette that most emanates it from all angles. Maybe you could call that as a logo, like a an IP address for that architectural shape. Allows someone who's not looking at the architectural shape to access it from a remote location via the archetypal silhouette of its logo. So this is the constructual wormhole inside the hypothetical that that once you connect it to that spot, you now can pull the flow of Messi or Pele or whoever through this archetypal because I am wearing the same logo as him. So I am 3.7% more like Pele than I was before. And that's a real pranic resonance. That's part of you is resonating because you happen to have the same exact image. You're showing the same thing. So mimicry is part of this resonance. We mimic to resonate each other, which means that we steal each other's power, if you want to look at it that way, by simply gaining their posture. And it's called stealing because once we gain their posture, their power sort of disappears, but only for us because we're there now. Now we're looking at different power, but meanwhile everyone else sees it. So it comes in and out. It becomes visible and invisible all the time. And we're just having trouble tracking where it comes from. We're having trouble learning how the technology works, which is why having these discussions, which is why having symbols like the cross, like the swastika, like all the Big Dipper. All these things are so important because they're showing us the wormholes through hypothetical, which is basically omniscience. It's the fucking monad. I get we don't want to say that's God. Okay, it's not God, but it's this omniscient place where all things are known and all things are powerful and everyone has compassion for everyone, but it's not God. But we can access each other through that wormhole, and we can only be shown that through fucking corporations. Corporations the one told that. Three stripes mean Adidas. I don't even know how to fucking say Adidas, but everyone knows that. Everyone that's imbued in there because someone knows what they're doing, right? So it's badass, man. Even the ones
Yeah,
you
where
belong
are
to.
the temples? You know, where are the temples of today? Corporations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aren't
Or the
they
wormholes of the
exactly like
corporations.
ancient
Yeah.
Rome? Isn't that just ancient Rome?
Yep. Yep. Couldn't agree more. That's exactly it. And we had to be taught where these wormholes are. We had to be taught that you can create a wormhole in your signature. You taught that, right? You had to be taught that by a corporation. It's like make an X. If you can't scribe your name, you got to make an X. It's like we had to be taught that. We had to be taught that we're a signature. You know, that's huge. That came from the state. That came from people that are more powerful than you.
As you both are discussing that, the where is the temple? Yeah, it's and then like James was talking about these rituals in LA being pagan rituals. Yeah, it is. It's like a new pantheon of symbology, but that has the same power. Where Nike is reborn. Um, I wonder why there was a phase in my life where I could never transcend the status symbol of something like a Nike, but I knew like for my shirts, I never wanted to be a billboard, for example. I hated Abercrombie and Fitch. I wouldn't want to wear blank shirts and Levi's, because they just had a little tag. I needed the subtlety. I didn't want to wear I didn't like the idea of paying $50 for a t-shirt to have the name of the brand that made it all over my chest. And yet I still uh, find uh, some logos, the status symbol being somewhat empowering. It's like it's a superstition that's underneath even my will to.
And you should keep those. These are not something we should run away from. We shouldn't be ashamed of them. We should literally notice how I think actually you're better if you can jack into logos more, if you can be disgusted. Like I think you're better, not worse. You're more susceptible to magic because you're fucking more magical, not because you're weak. It's because you're more fucking magical, which means you can find the torque of that thing because you can be like, dude, I'm wearing my Sebagos right now. I'm fucking badass. You kidding? I look like that prep school guy that got to take the Baylor test. All of them wear fucking Sebagos. So I'm in private school. I'm in public school, but I'm gonna wear fucking Sebagos. So I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I try as hard as I can. Try as hard as I can. American Eagle Outfitters is showing kids, here's how you hold your posture. They're showing you clothes, but what they're really showing is what is the posture of the model. That's all you want. And the kids can't get that. That's very subtle. It's very difficult. But what they can get is if I wear that shirt, I will feel 20% more of that posture. Why? Because I'm fantasizing that I'm that inside. This is great. This is fucking great. Like this is I'm all for this. We should do more of this. We should be more like this. We should emulate more into this kind of a thing, you know? It's air guitaring, but not your favorite song, your favorite lifestyle, your favorite choice, right? We're air guitaring that. Before we play, we're pretending. Fuck you, King James. We're pretending that, you know? And that's how we get there. That's the people that you think are creating, they're fucking pretending. They don't, some people are like, you had a really good show, James. I was like, no, I didn't. I was fucking pretending. I was just like, what am I gonna fucking say now? Just move your mouth more, James. There. Now bob your head. Like just stuff like that. I don't fucking know I don't even know where I am or what it is. I'm pretending. I'm not making. I'm trying to stay in a state where I'm fantasizing the idea that this is a good show. I swear to fuck, that's probably the closest posture that I could explain to you. You know what I mean? It's like I can get a posture where I can imaginate that I'm doing a really good job. Like if I can just get there, that feel like I'm winning. And that's sports psychology, you know? Like that's why you want all the confidence, all the logos help, the practice helps, all those things are perfecting that confidence, because it's not the shirt, it's not the subject matter. Guys, it's not the subject matter. It's the confidence or the lack of confidence that we get from each other, you know? How can you have confidence about not thinking maybe nuclear bombs are real? How can you have a confident? Can you show me? Okay, and it's either no, that didn't work at all. It's horrible karaoke, James, or you fucking nailed that, man. You made that your own, right? You don't know. No one. This is the beauty of karaoke, because honestly, you go there to find out if you're good. Like you go there, you don't know. All you know is you're gonna pretend, right? You just want to see how well you pretend, and you can't watch yourself because you're too busy pretending. This is how magic works.
Yeah, that's part of my association with my car. I mostly drive a super old Nissan. Nissan means victory. That's the car that all the terrorists during the Iraq War drove. There's a reason for that. You can associate it to those things successfully, I believe.
Confidence has always been the bane of my existence. The best I can do is be like consumed with passion and become blind to myself, and then wake up out of the passion and be embarrassed about it afterwards. That's like literally the best I can do, except for with Ashley's case when she chose me, and went into pursuit. But it wasn't even confidence. It was more like it was more like an act of shamelessness. Maybe they're the same thing. I don't know, but go ahead, Jasenia.
Yeah, just there's so much in the stream of consciousness. It's great. Right now in my age, as I keep like progressing in the corporate ladder and then being like, you know what, maybe I don't want to do this, because I've also worked for like mom and pops, but mom and pops are like a different kind of cult. It's like this microcosm cult of like cliques and gossip, and I've always felt that, James, like, why am I like this? Like, why can't I just like have this conversation with you? Why did I have to say that the riots are a controlled demolition? Why couldn't I just nod and say, and just, not just shut the whole room down, and created this like weird ambient silence of like, oh, we wrong audience with Yesenia. Um, and I guess that's my calligraphy here. And in terms of trends, like and that's why I wrote um, the last Dear Collective Diary. It's because, when I brought up that like, would you love me if I were bisexual anecdote, and I saw the silence in this dojo, that brought me onto the mat to think about that. Like, okay, because that's always been my dad's like party champagne joke, like, and that's why I mentioned that also in like, it's always been like I've been the star child because, I'm like this prodigy, graduated early, and I'm also gay, and like, he's also new to this country. Speaking of logos, like my dad took us to Ross and got us the big logo because that's what it's like to be American, because he's from Cuba. So like, it's funny how like that's what he thinks, like that's what America is, like American culture. It's interesting. But yeah, thank you for letting me share.
Absolutely, Yesenia. Lori, been thinking of
Hey,
you. Go ahead.
great shares today. I'm really resonating. I love the key analogy of the magic keys. So I might use that, Andy, and make a key ring of magical rings. I think it's fantastic to go out and play with them. And I liked some of the stuff, James, has been really awesome. Like when you pretend, you're lying. And so when you're really into pretend, when you're playing with children and you're really, as an adult, you're pretending, you're really lying. And then you said that you tried to lie until the kid like laughed. And so I always kind of did that with my grandchildren. I would play superpowers, like spy games and superpowers on the playground. And like it was like who could pretend the best. And the older you are and the more that you can pretend, the more you're in that creative flow state. So I wanted to relate to the logos and the corporate, because I'm having a lot of wonderful discussions with my sister here in her beautiful location, and we were talking about corporations. And I worked for one of the best corporations, I think, in the world, and it was Hewlett Packard. And so it was the HP logo, and it was Bill and Dave. We'd always thank Bill and Dave every time we did anything. It was, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Dave. And the corporate culture of creating a high-priced product that had a intrinsic value, and being hired into that corporation was my biggest ego building pride. And I don't have a problem with that. But at the time, I couldn't understand why they hired me. I always felt I had imposter syndrome really bad. And I always felt like I was going to be found and caught and excommunicated out of the cult, because Hewlett Packard had a cult culture to it. And I don't really think it was a bad cult. I think it was a great cult. It had high integrity. It had high price with high integrity. And I excommunicated myself because my part of the business got sold out. The corporation got too big, and the corpse was too big to tack, and they had to chop it up into littler pieces so it could tack quicker, supposedly to make better profit. So I got sat at the same desk, had 3 different companies with the same phone number. It's a very interesting time to witness and be alive in and through. And, I have a daughter whose husband works for a very big corporation, and I think there's a lot of pride in that. And my granddaughter's working for the company, company person. And the nepotism is alive and well, and she's getting to follow in her father's engineering footsteps. And I would have had a judgment about it before. I don't have judgment about it now. I'm about to go launch over there to that part of what I would have called deep state before. And there's always different levels. Like Yesenia, I was really relating to your kind of listening to yourself, witnessing yourself, and putting yourself on the mat. But I don't really see anything to put yourself on the mat for. I think that there's levels of consciousness that form so that you can kind of see there is a controlled demolition going on out there, and it's also perfect. There's all of it is the same. I look at, there's nothing wrong in corporations, and it's called a corpse for a reason. So I had my first and favorite car, my first new car. I went from this yellow, horrible, I can't remember the name of the car. It was like James's car. It was not stoppable, and it was all kinds of bizarre things you had to do to make it work. It was the color of a school bus. It's horrible. Driving around in this horrible school bus car. But then I got a Rabbit convertible, a Volkswagen Rabbit convertible, and it was black, and I felt like a hot ticket putting that convertible down and rolling around the roads. And I didn't feel like at all like that. That was like a high level of like, another pride thing. So that's my share for today. It's good to see everybody, and happy Friday. Thanks, Cameron. Great job.
Happy Friday, Lori.
True.
Oh yeah, go ahead, James.
True, if you don't mind, I just want to, because this deals with the word pretend. Let me just show this. I've got a show called Sympathetic Magic. I think it's episode 443, but sometimes the numbers are wrong. But news from Scotland, declaring the damnable. Life and death of Dr. Fian, a notable sorcerer who was burned at Edinburgh in January last 1519, which this doctor was registered to the devil. The various times preached at North Berwick Kirk to a number of notorious witches, with the true examinations of the said doctor and witches as they uttered confessions in the presence of the Scottish king, that's King James, the writer of the Daemonologie, where this is from, and that it says, discovering how they pretended, the word pretended, to bewitch and drown his majesty in the sea, coming from Denmark, with such other wonderful matters similarly have not been heard at any time. Published according to the Scottish copy at London, printed for William Wright. So this is a confession, and the confession is that he pretended he pretended to do something. That's how powerful it was when these things came online. The entire book is about that. The entire book about is don't fucking say that you can do these things. That's what it is. Stop using your placebo. And fucking kill you. If we catch any of you using your placebo, we're going to kill you. And the deadly word was pretend. To come to a place and prepare for something that is not there is to pretend. It is to come and tend to something before it mays. It literally does mean that. That it doesn't mean something that's made up. It doesn't mean that. Do you see how negative you have to be about the ego and placebo to look at the word to prepare for something that you want to happen as to fake some shit that's not real? Do you see? It's the same fucking thing. It's the exact same thing. What's different? Your perspective. What's different? Your belief, your cosmology. It's turned completely back asswards. It's like completely framed in the wrong way. It's so obvious when you read it. By the way, reading that is not that easy. If you want to read Daemonologie, it's blisteringly difficult because it's like, hey, stoweth thou kingdoth and turneth aroundeth, but forwardeth backeth, and unbetweeneth thou is not standeth. It's just like, fuck, shut up. It's really hard. So you have to read a translation of a translation to figure out even what he's saying. The words are there. You can see the word pretend there. So I promise you it's there. But when you try and like mash it out, I want you to know what I read you is my favorite translation of this book. It's very puts you to sleep, honestly. Reading the way this fucker spoke is just so monotonously painful to watch. It's literally probably the worst book I've ever read, just as far as like quality when it comes to like, how do I get through this? I want to rip out someone's eyes, preferably his. That's all I got.
My version is similar, like, or to try to read it in silence. I almost have to like speak the words out and then listen to the words because there's like it's phonetically it's there, but the spelling is just all wrong. And yeah, it's thank you, Lori. And Yesenia last week on the when we were talking about pretend, she disjoined the word and the word attend cropped up, and that was really helpful for me to pre-attend. So thank you for Yesenia for that last week. I didn't get to thank you for that. Thank you, True, for coming back onto the mat. Good to see you.
Yeah. I just real quick, James was talking about karaoke. I have an opportunity. Everybody send positive vibes about 4 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, because I'm going to get up on stage in front of a bunch of people at a Pride event and sing karaoke. And I haven't done it in a year. And since I started driving early mornings, there's this place I used to go, and I could get because nobody was there on a Wednesday night, and I could go there, get 3 songs in, easy. And sometimes there was nobody in the room, but it really didn't matter because it was the way that the music felt in my body, the vibration of it. I didn't care who was watching. So that's all I got.
Yeah, that's how you play. That's how you dance, right?
Right.
Yeah, you lose yourself.
Yeah.
Be true. Sarah, you're up next. Before we start, I want to give a friendly reminder. We're about 6 minutes away, it looks like, from the hour-and-a-half mark for the dojo. Excited to hear what you have to say, Sarah. Go ahead.
Probably not as deep today as I think I went last time. Topic 1, logos. I find it fascinating how logos have changed our initial understanding of words. So that now when we think of Apple, we think of computers, not the fruit. When we think of Amazon, we think of the corporation and selling platform Amazon, not the forest. Gap, we think of the clothing brands, not a gap between items as it is, and so on and so on, how this alters our word understanding and perception and where our brain goes to first in the association of a word. And topic 2 about brands, I find it like pretty, from the marketing perspective, ingenious to have your brand names on, sorry, having hot tea, to sell your clothing with the brand name all across it, and it's free advertising. So people are paying the companies to advertise their product. Like, it's insidious, but it's brilliant from the marketing perspective. Let's see, topic 3, cars. Cars are fun. I find it interesting how we identify with the car we're driving and from others in a similar way as fashion. Really, it becomes an extension of our identity somehow. My first car, my father got it for me, and I'm sure this was um, I just missed the word, a vicarious purchase because he really wanted it. It was a 66 Mustang, 3-speed manual transmission, which I didn't even know how to drive. So I got this first car. I had to learn how to drive that. I took it for my first spin by myself to the 7-Eleven, and I got out and I couldn't find reverse. So that was fun, but that was a fun car. I used to like, semi that street racing, like, oh, let's start up from the red light and see who can go go faster and things like that. And my family, like, it seems like men can be in families, it's sports or cars, sometimes both. My family was all cars, no sports at all. And I learned to like tune up my own car, change the oil of my own car, and it was easier then when cars were a lot simpler. Um, and like now I drive this old 2003 Honda and I really need something new. I feel like I've taken it on a few California road trips and I think it's done with that after my last breakdown with the radiator cracking. Probably because I wasn't paying attention to the fluid level in that and it got under freezing temperatures here. And it probably didn't have enough antifreeze in it when I took it out after that cold weather spell, and that's probably what caused that. But that was an expensive repair. Topic 3 is thinking about fears and the different roots of fear, and it seems like the two basic ones that we may all share would be the first would be fear of survival, of course, of physical survival. The second one may be fear of losing sovereignty. And then other fears seem to be related, more personal, that not everyone has, but many do. Fear of like being seen, fear of not being seen, fear of being heard, fear of not being heard, fear of being yourself, fear of showing yourself. So, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm running late, so I'm having breakfast. So I will turn my video on so you don't have to see me chomping my healthy carrot bread.
There's a lot there, Sarah. All I can really touch on with the time we have left is at least the logo resonance. That it definitely is really clever that we're paying companies to advertise their product. Uh, and I still think this. I've thought this way for a long time. Also, if you want to sink more into magic, you'll actually see it's a codependent, symbiotic relationship between the wearers of the logo and the logo itself. That the people that are wearing the logo are actually draining the brand of exclusivity, power, and resonance. So, just as if you are going to be in the presence of someone who is greater, i.e., more powerful, i.e., someone you're afraid of, you are going to lower their level. They're going to regulate to you. You're going to regulate to them. The percentage isn't equal. I'm sure that I would be regulating to someone more powerful more than they would be regulating to me, but they would still feel a lag from that. They have no choice. It's just music. The resonation is just going to happen. So when Polo puts their logo out, it's very small. It's as small as the Izod alligator was, and the Izod I think was oversaturated. Too many people found it popular, and it collapsed upon itself. That logo died because too many people had it. It no longer had the unique yuppie preppy quality. This is before yuppie. It was preppy quality. So then emerged the Polo brand. The Polo brand was obscure, which allowed it to catch up. It was able to amplify. And now TJ Maxx is covered in gigantic Polo logos that are the entire size of the shirt because they're showing you that the resonance is weakening. Same thing happened to Izod. Izod went into we're going to, first of all, we can't fucking afford embroidered logos. That was stupid. That was their first point. It's like, now we're just going to fucking screen print, and then we're going to screen print them really, really big because the logo is dying. What killed the logo? Did the corporation kill it? Or did all the people kill it by sucking the power from it? Literally sucking and drinking the power from it. If you think about it this way, it's a very symbiotic, crucial relationship. It's no different than when I played soccer. As soon as I got up on in Saturday morning, I wanted my shin guards on. Before I had cereal, before any cartoons, before anything. And it was at least 3 hour wait before a soccer game. I was sweating underneath those shin guards because I wanted that. I didn't really give a shit about the game. I wanted to wear these fucking shin guards and have the resonance that I felt from Pele, from him wearing them. I was draining that. It's hard to imagine that Pele felt drained from me, but if you look at how we treat celebrities, I think it shows absolutely clear that this is how it happens. We expect perfection from them. Every single shady piece of look or glance is considered horrible, and that's how we're turning them into this crystalline to where they just fracture like that because we're draining them. They dry up, the liquid removes, and they're this powdered paste that ultimately dies because culture drank from them. This is why if you're going to be a good vessel like Katy Perry, you really just need to fucking evacuate. You really just need to be able to sing whatever words they fucking give you. And I use they, I literally mean the people that are drinking you. What are the words they want to hear? You're not able to do this, Yesenia. I'm not able to do this. It could be because we're great, authentic, amazing, creative people. It could be. It also could be. It could be that we cannot hold our cosmology as firm, that we need everyone in the room with us to regulate our cosmology with us, which is why we can't bullshit as well. It could be that. I know it's gross, but it could be that. It could be that this is the same thing that you have when you're dealing with a child and the child's like, this world's run by unicorns. And you're just like, fuck yeah, you're cool with it because there's not a power threat there and you can enjoy that. And that you and this is what I think it is. First of all, I think we are awesome and creative. Okay. But in addition to that, Yesenia, I think we can't hold our cosmology as clearly because we're so symbiotic. We're so completely enthralled in sharing cosmology with each other that it legitimizes ourselves. And if we could compassionate psychopathy a little bit more, I know this sounds creepy as fuck, but if we could compassionate psychopathy a little bit more, we could hold our own fantasy and not have to share it with everyone. Not have to make sure that everyone understands it. Look, it's a fucking lie, right? That we don't have to, it's okay. We can hold that because it's joyous. It's fine. It doesn't need the light. It doesn't need it. We have enough internal light inside of it.
I think that Mustang is a classic example because it just reminds me that of all the Jewish people that I know, like almost every one of them was purchased a Ford Mustang as their first car, including like one of my very good friends. I just find that interesting, like, because it used to be that you didn't buy Fords because he was supposedly anti-Semitic, but I find that interesting that in my generation, almost every single Jewish kid I know was purchased a Ford Mustang as their first car. That's very strange to me, but it kind of backs up what you're saying right there, It's just interesting. This logo talk.
The logo talk for me, it's a matter of depth versus complexity, how they're able to get underneath what the meanings we associate and change apple from a fruit to it. I see like the ideogram predates the alphabet, and it gives us more space to make these associations, and I feel like that's how it's done now. But we have come to the end of the meeting. Lori, I saw your hand was raised. we'll see you on Monday. I hope, hopefully, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you then. If everybody would like to unmute and say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Renee.
Bye, Renee.
Happy weekend.